Welcome back to Starting Point on TVRI World with me, Siska Becker, my lovely co-host, Asha Fabian.
Yay.
And also our two guests who have finally joined us in the studio. We'll be talking to them very soon. We have the Director of Indonesia Hidden Heritage Creative Hub, Nofa Farida, and Founder of SenyuMuseum, Edgar Honggo. But before we talk with them, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the organizations that they represent, right, Aisha?
Yes, and I'm going to tell you and share with you the Indonesia Hidden Heritage Creative Hub. That invites a young generation in the country to join the efforts to preserve the ancestors' heritage amid the impacts of globalizations. So let's take a look.
Executive Director of Indonesia Hidden Heritage Creative Hub, Nofa Farida, warmly welcomes the action to some communities and young generations taking part in the efforts to preserve the ancestors' heritage. Nofa also encourages all youth to maintain such activities.
I'm very thankful because young generation nowadays, they care about the culture. They start already coming into museum as well, and they try to make some programs, and as well as campaigns about museum that are like this vibe about museum dating as well. So it's actually a good movement. Lots of people nowadays trying to revive the museum. It's like our work as well in Indonesia Hidden Heritage Creative Hub. Our focus is on rebranding and 11 museum as a creative public space, and we're very excited to see lots of younger generation to do the same nowadays, and also as lots of people from other industry also supporting the museum event.
Indonesia Hidden Heritage Creative Hub is an organization which focuses on Indonesia history and culture preservation. Established in November 2018, the community aims to support and rebranding and vivifying the museum through creative programs, promotional and marketing events, as well as research and development activities.
Okay, after watching that presentation about IHHC, we're going to learn more about the organization and also about SenyuMuseum straight from our guests who are here with us in the studio. Once again, we welcome Director of Indonesia Hidden Heritage Creative Hub, Nofa Farida.
Hello.
And Founder of SenyuMuseum, Edgar Honggo. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us in the studio.
Thank you for
having us here.
Yes, how can you get here so fast from the screen to here?
That was magical, right?
It was magical.
Teleportations.
Teleportation. Okay, so we would like to know more about the Indonesia Hidden Heritage Creative Hub and your organization as well, SenyuMuseum. Mungkin you can start, Mbak Nova.
Okay. So we are from Indonesia Hidden Heritage Creative Hub. Is basically marketing and promotion, branding. Like we're focusing on creative program as well. We are a consulting company. We established our company on 2020, so it's still basically young, 3 years ago. And since then, our focus is to develop the museum quality and as well as the museum creative programs. And on the journey of our work, we are partnering with SenyuMuseums.
Okay, interesting. So you both have same concerns, same issues that you want to tackle through your activities, but maybe different approach. Am I right to say that? Maybe you can tell us more about SenyuMuseum first,
So
Edgar.
thank you for having us. For SenyuMuseum, we touch more into the events, production, branding, and also the social experience. So we try to curate more into creative programs and also lifestyle experience through the lens of historical context. So what we try to do is we try to package and also curate lifestyle entertainment such as music, architecture, and also craft and culinary in an interesting experience that we can show and also attract people. So it is our goal to actually show how history and also technology can go in harmony in this digital age.
Oh,
It's very interesting.
That's very interesting. It's very nice. And Mbak Nova, you mentioned that it was started 3 years ago, 2020. So it was in the middle of the pandemic.
So actually, our history is tracing back on 2018.
Okay.
Before we are developing ourselves into a consulting company, we are a tour operator basically. So we have a walking trip and also another like book launching events. And during the pandemic, all the businesses basically went down. Like, especially for travel industry, right? We cannot go anywhere. We're just like stuck. So at that time, my team and I think that we need to remodel our business. And then we get an idea, how about we focus on the destination that we visit often and we promote often to people, which is museum. So we then focus our business, instead of only being a tour operator, we are becoming also a consulting for museum, and from that day on, the creative hub is coming on the line.
Okay, so that's the history.
That's the history.
Now, the thread that connects both of you is museums, right?
Museums.
Yeah.
Could you tell us why museums? Why do you have such a huge interest in museums in the first
Such
place,
for
and to
you.
promote,
Okay, sure.
to promote it to the wider public?
Yeah,
Edgar?
I think our biggest concern, it's a big concern I share together with Nofa and also a lot of our partners, how we have like such a rich cultural heritage. However, in many contexts, it hasn't been promoted and also like marketed quite positively, because if we go to many places all across the world, for example, you go to Spain, you visit the Prado Museum, and then if you go to like Singapore, there's like the New Art and Science Museum.
Yes.
So there are places how history and also technology, but also entertainment becomes the tourism destination, which is like very positive towards the tourism business in the country. And we believe with all the heritage and also the culture that we have, it's our mission to make it exciting. That's why in my context, we have the name of the company, SenyuMuseum, Senyum Smile, and also museum, because we believe that visiting the museum should be a fun and joyful experience. So that's how we try to package through appreciation, activation, and also to make museums relevant into today's world.
Exactly.
To make a visit to museum fun and interesting,
Exactly.
instead of drabby and boring,
Boring.
and sometimes spooky.
Spooky.
Really sorry to say.
Yeah, especially here.
Yeah.
Because in my own personal experience, if I go to other countries, museum would be in the bucket list,
Yeah,
right?
bucket list.
You have to go there.
Yeah, I would want to visit some museums there, here and there. But how is it? It must be the challenges, right, to face, not only to introduce that Indonesia have many beautiful museums. But to our own community itself, they have not been very familiar with that, and not being interested enough to go to our own museum. How do you tackle that?
How do you engage with the public and let them know that?
And the millennials especially. or Gen X.
Well, from our experience, and if we look at the data, as you said, that the visit to museum is the lowest. And like honestly speaking, we won't recommend people to go hang out in a museum. We will hang out in a mall, in a cafe, in an art galleries, not in a museum. And it's been like our visions to transform museum into urban heritage tourism icon. So that's what we do for the last few years. And I think before we are talking about communicating museum to public, we need to finalize the product itself. The museum as it is now, not all, but many museums in Indonesia, they have like high potential to be a tourism destination. Unfortunately, it's not managed professionally yet. So their product is not ready yet to be launched as a tourism destinations product. That's what we want to manage first with the museum management. So what do they need to do is do not go to promotion yet, otherwise people will get upset when you can have a good content creator, you can promote, but when people come, well, the product is not finalized yet, the product is not ready yet, people will say like, well, I'm not going to come back again.
Then the promotion won't work.
Exactly,
because,
exactly.
people won't go back.
That's what we do. Like before we're talking about promotion and marketing, we help the museums, like IIH works to help the museum first to prepare the product, to prepare the museum as a marketable product to the audience. What we do is we give a training to the museum managements. We help them to create creative program we tell them like the needs analysis and the mapping that the museum needs to have facility that is needed by the people. Like we want to go to museum for comfortable, for entertainment, for education, for sure, but it has to be comfy. It has to have additional value when we visit there,
They
right?
need to enjoy themselves.
You need to
Exactly.
enjoy. We want to have some, memorable moments. Like many museum, maybe if you visit many Indonesian museum, they don't have like curated gift stores. Like they're very simple,
Yeah.
right? And then there is no cafe, and then there is no Wi-Fi. I mean, like those three things, right?
Which are
So that-
basic necessities
Exactly.
for today's
Exactly, for today's
societies.
society, people don't want to go to the place where there is nothing there. There is only a collection which similar to warehouse.
Yeah.
So it's not meeting the customer requirement yet. So what we do is like let's see what's your target audience wants. Let's see what the customer wants, and then we try to meet their expectations. Only then we can promote and marketing. So it's like on the end line.
Okay. Okay, Mbak Nova, Edgar, it's been very insightful so far. We would love to continue the discussion, but before that, we would love to show our viewers a feature presentation about SenyuMuseum, a creative consultant specialized in museums and heritage sites, which invites the public to experience the golden era of Batavia, the old name of Jakarta, through an exhibition of cross-sectoral collaborative artworks at the Jakarta Maritime Museum. Let's have a closer look.
SenyuMuseum presented a series of culinary, music, and architecture-based art events bearing unique characteristics of old Jakarta in an exhibition held on June 17th and 18th. The Batavia exposition aimed at educating the public on the golden era of Batavia at the Maritime Museum, a former spice warehouse of Dutch Indies Company or VOC. On the musical side, the exhibition had Symposium or Symphony at the Museum. The Symposium is a classical music festival in various formats, such as solo performance, in quartet, in string orchestra, and in a choir. Another art event in the exhibition was the Exposium or Architectural Exposition, which featured educative art installations on architecture styles from Dutch colonial era to Indonesia's independence era. During the event, there was also a documentary book launching on the works of Bian Poon, a renowned architect and lecturer in Indonesia. The Batavia exposition was supported by the Jakarta Tourism and Creative Economy Agency, Jakpreneur, the Indonesia Hidden Heritage Creative Hub, and various governmental institutions.
Wow,
Yes.
I don't think I've been to the Museum of Maritime since maybe junior high. It's been quite a while. That reminds me, I should go. It looks very interesting, Edgar.
Thank you.
So, what did people enjoy when they went to the event that we just saw?
Thank
on
you.
the
That was a
screen?
good start
Yeah.
that you mentioned. When was the last time you came back to the museum?
Yeah.
So hopefully through this kind of activations, people will come and they see the potential of the beautiful buildings,
Yeah.
the heritage, the collections, and they can be attracted to come. And we could see through the event that we did at Museum Bahari, the Maritime Museum, how I could say maybe 90% are people who haven't been there or they have been there during their childhood.
Yes.
And then they kind of like recall, oh, when I came here, it used to be just like an old warehouse. But
Yeah.
now we have a better display with branding, with all the
Okay.
lightings, and you have sounds as you enter the museum. You hear the sound of sea breeze, of seagulls. So you feel as if you are really navigating through like Indonesian
Oceans,
archipelago.
You make it into an immersive experience.
An immersive experience.
Okay.
Yeah. So apart from that, we kind of curate how musics from the 40s, the 50s, with swing, jazz, kind of fits into the whole architecture, and we also work with craft, with bazaars, and also with architecture firms to retell the story of old Batavia. So this historical context of museum and also entertainment was very well curated. With
Okay.
our concept, we have entertainment fits education, and also tradition hits into technology. So this kind
Okay.
of immersive experience, as you mentioned, has
Yeah.
been something that everyone really enjoyed
Okay.
in the experience.
Would love to experience it ourselves,
Yeah.
right?
Now you have a reason to come back.
Yeah. I will bring my kids because it's school holiday now for a whole month. So this would be a great way to entertain them, to let them have a great experience, but also learning about their country and their city.
Exactly.
But I would love to know more actually about the maintaining part and the urgent need to refurbish the facilities of many museums. You mentioned how important it is to have some marketing skills to promote it better. But of course, most of the museums in Jakarta are maintained by the government. Does this mean you work together with government to, make these museums look more modern and presentable to the public?
For IH, we are working with museums now. We are working with Museum Bahari Jakarta and City Museum of Palembang.
Oh, okay.
So we are not working with the whole museums or with the whole departments in the government, but we carefully selected our partners. So we we curated which museum that we want to work with, based on the the commitments of the museum leaders and their visions, and as well as their capacity to move forward with the developments and with the marketing and promotion, and how far they want to engage their audience, because not all museums are ready to be launched. So we need to really select our partners. But we do really hope that in the future we can engage with more museums and we can develop their potentials as well, because this is part of our mission to bring creative culture industries into the museum.
Okay.
So last month I went to Doha. We are selected as one of the speakers on International Museum Forum organized by ICOM. ICOM is the International Council of Museum. It's a home for all the museum and museum professionals in the world. And in that conference, I learned a lot that the museums on the overseas, they're already advanced. They're embracing technology. They're embracing hospitality. They're embracing a creative culture industry into the museum, which we are not there yet. So this is one of the homework for the museums. I think only selected museums, and most of them are the arts museums who already embrace the concept that Edgar and I are developing. But we want to reach the history and heritage museum because their numbers are hundreds in Indonesia, and they have huge potential. And then there are lots of museum who is already on type A. So there are different type of museums according to the Ministry of Culture: type A, type B, type C, type D, type E. So
How many types are there?
5 types, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, 5
How
types.
many museums in total, if you know, in Indonesia?
So it's around 500 something.
Oh, okay.
That listed in a Ministry of Culture database, but probably maybe more than
Maybe
that.
more than that,
Yeah.
More than that.
Yeah.
Maybe some hidden museums.
Yeah, could be because there are museums that are managed by personals that maybe not listed yet.
Privately owned.
Privately owned. So there are museums under ministry, museums under private company, museum under institution, under university, and as well as under a personal interest. So there are lots of museums in Indonesia that actually have potential to go on, but probably they need more people to give a little push.
Okay, now last question to you, Mbak Nofa. Maybe you could tell us your hopes and wishes for museums in Jakarta and Indonesia as we enter a new era where we hope that this museum will serve as a hub of culture, of learning, and also for fun activities. And maybe, Edgar, you can also ask our viewers to come to the museums now that we have plenty of time during school holiday. We'll start with you, Mbak Nofa.
Yeah, I do really hope that the museums in Indonesia develop. There are 2 things basically that's very important for every museum owned by whoever in Indonesia. First is they develop their human resources skill. Secondly is develop their financial resources, because human resources drive innovations, drive creativity, and financial resources make it happen.
Without it, we cannot make any progress whatsoever.
Yeah, and I do really hope that the government will maximize the role of ICOM Secretariat in Indonesia. Currently, they are still not really establishing yet. So, because we have already seen the benefits of going through the international heritage network. It's not only aiding your networking, it's not only aiding your skill, but it's also aiding like there will be a new insight for you on how to develop museum. Even like when you have a limitations on financial resources, they will teach you how to have a patron, how to engage with wider international network, and what kind of skills that you need to bring into the museum so that the museum in Indonesia can develop well. And we do really hope that in the future there will be lots of museums that can be collaborate with us. Like currently we have a regular program in Museum Bahari every month, so you are free to come every month. And there will be Festival Cerita Kota every month in Museum Bahari. It will be on this Saturday, so you can bring the kids to the museum. And we also have like a program also in Palembang, so if there is any viewer who's watching it from Palembang, in Palembang we also develop a regular program with them as well. So we hope in the future we can reach wider, not only the museums, but we want to hear more from the target market. What do they wish for Indonesian museums? Thank you.
Now, Edgar, lastly, while you invite the viewers to join all the activities, maybe you can also tell us where we can find out more information and details for upcoming and future events.
Sure. So we believe that museums is not only the building, but it's the activities inside. And also we believe that Indonesia has this huge potential through tourism to be one of the biggest actually tourism hub in the world. It should be, with all the richness that we have. So if we look back into like places like in Vietnam, they have like the Hoi An Lantern Festival, the Brazilian Carnival, and also
Met Gala.
the Met Gala, right? There are all these festivals that really promote cultural events. And we believe that these are the activities that we really have to top up and make it not only interesting or Instagrammable, but also hospitality-wise. So I agree with Mbak Nofa that details, even like clean toilets in the museum is very important. So we hope through our activities,
decent facilities.
we hope through our events in the future that you can check from SenyuMuseum's Instagram or Indonesian Hidden Heritage Instagram. You can join a lot of activities. We are planning forward to do museum tours and also concerts and a lot of exhibitions in places that you never thought would be interesting to enjoy. So we really try to change the stigma of a mindset that museum is actually entertaining.
Please sign us up, both of us.
Enjoyable. Please. And now we know where to go this weekend.
Exactly.
And we have the activities every month. Like we will check out the Instagrams.
Don't follow.
Definitely.
Forget to follow.
Don't forget to follow.
Don't forget to follow
Don't forget to
Instagram.
That's our lovely discussion this morning with Nofa Farida, Director of Indonesia Hidden Heritage Creative Hub, and also the founder of SenyuMuseum, Edgar Honggo. Thank you very much for joining us at the studio on Starting Point.
Thank you for inviting us.
It's a pleasure.
See you at the museum.
See you at the museum. We'll smile at the museum from now on.
Smile on.
Thank you.
Thank you.